Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Headspace Podcast. This is that show where we break down the newest hip-hop albums track by track, giving you thoughts and opinions on each and every song that appears on the project. And this week, I'm going to be breaking down Benny the Butcher's The Plug I Met. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, or HSR. I'll be your host this evening, guiding you through the album, and I'm gonna do my intro base. So if you want to skip that shit, feel free to check the description of the video, and you'll see a full itinerary for when I talk about each song, just in case you want to cut to the one that you care about the most. On that note, I'm not an expert by any means. Back in November 2016, I said I'm gonna start reviewing albums and shit. So we did. And now it's June 2019, and while the success has not come, the knowledge and wisdom has been acclimated enough to not be stupid as I go through these reviews. And I hope to learn, and I hope that you want to learn with me, and that's the goal of this thing. So your comments are super important to me because there's a good chance that y'all know a lot more about Benny the Butcher than I do. As I said the last time I reviewed Benny the Butcher, so if you want to check that, we did talk about Tana Talk 3. But yeah, so that did happen, and yeah, I like to read my favorite comment on, a random video, just to let you know that I care a lot, because your comments do matter, and I'll answer every single one of you. But in light of the subject matter on this review, I cherry-picked this comment from our Dead Prez Let's Get Free review. I cherry-picked it on purpose. Your review of Dead Prez, and this is from Cameo111, your review of Dead Prez taught me so much about your remarkably unbiased mindset. I don't know if it's that unbiased, but we try. That's the goal. And your capacity of patience and genuine willingness and desire to learn. This shit is a real comment. He made it all on his own, or she, I'm not really sure. And understand the culture and life experiences that begot this phenomenon called hip-hop. I salute you, and I think that I chose this comment for this review because, well, as we'll come to see, I don't necessarily come from the same lifestyle of Mr. Benny the Butcher. But before we get into the review, I want to give a quick shout out to the patrons at the beginning of the episode. Ismail Kadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, and Lindale Williams. They dope. They deserve the shout out while you're still watching. Check for the info at the end of the episode. On that note, let's get into it. For the Google overlords, I shall say it one more time. We're going to be talking about Benny the Butcher's The Plug I Met. So this is the part of the show where I like to contextualize how familiar I am with each artist, because I think that matters. This is a show about album reviews. So it's not about singles. It's not about what song's necessarily a banger. It's about looking at the art of a project as a whole and going through like the journey of what it's all supposed to mean and shit, right? And so given that, if you're a huge fan of an artist or you know their whole history, what you take out of that project is completely different than, say, you're a dude in Montreal, Quebec who happens to have heard the one other album, Tana Talk 3. Now, let me just say something. When you come, I've been reading a lot of stuff like Robert Greene, so you'll notice I have the book over there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the 33 Strategies of Raw, because I saw 38 Spesh on this album, and we did his 38 Strategies of War or whatever, his album there, and he was dope, and he shared our shit. He was fucking cool. If you watch this 38 Spesh, you the shit. So are you, Benny the Butcher, if you watch this shit, because like for real, there's this like universal truth and shit that's out there that I've come to see, right? And like, I'm not necessarily from the streets by any means, as you can probably tell with the cat on the hat, literally and shit. Like, I by no means I'm trying to be a thug or anything like that. But I am a little bit trying to be a boss motherfucker, right? Because there's just different lanes to bossdom. There's different lanes to establishing your own shit. And I realized along the way that certain dudes spitting shit about maybe their past experiences, they're kind of, everything they're saying parallels like every book I've read that tells you how to accomplish some shit, whether it be the gospel of hip-hop, whether it be 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, whether it be any 48 Laws of Power, whether it be Machiavelli's The Prince, you go through, or The Art of War, all of these different books, and you start to appreciate who's read them, or who at least understands the base concepts that drive this universal, historically continually rediscovered series of truths on how to achieve some shit. And my first feelings on Benny the Butcher were, while I may not be able to relate to some of the shit he's rapping about in a personal way, I can really relate to the way he thinks strategically and tactfully about his approach to things because honestly, at like a base level, short of let's say the violence and all of that stuff, the business side of everything is all business, right? You either good at business or you bad at business, and business is a tricky fucking game. Like I was thinking about this, and maybe y'all think I'm fucking crazy, but like check it. If you were to look at what happens with a corporate acquisition-y type hostile takeover situation, motherfuckers invade the next man's turf and proceed to take over the situation, and then they usually clip all the bosses and like assimilate the grunt workers and shit, which is almost like dude taking over the next guy's block and just eliminating, you know, the key players and recruiting all the youth and whatnot into a situation. So while people may not die in corporate America, you do see how careers are murdered in a hostile kind of way. And you look at the paranoia and the anxiety of certain people as they try to navigate through situations they're unprepared for. I can say I've seen so many things that get described through the music of somebody like a Benny the Butcher in my real life that I know that this dude is onto some true shit. Like in a way where it's just so motivational. Like I know that I don't grind the same way he grinds, but when I'm on the grind, I want to listen to a dude who's going to be telling me some smart shit along the way. So that's kind of what had me hyped up, because I actually been following Benny the Butcher on Twitter and whatnot. So like I was pretty stoked to see this was coming. This is one of the first times like I knew the album was coming. I knew I was going to be here on Friday. This is the same day it came out, so bear with me if I fuck shit up. But I knew it was coming out and I was going to get it out, and that's what the goal was, man, because well, I didn't know it was going to be 7 songs, but that made it a lot easier to get out today. But still, man, this is fucking nice. I don't have a lot more to say. I could not for the life of me figure out what fucking movie this is from. I'm pretty sure that's Pacino on the left, and I know you're all going to be like, it's that one, because it's obvious, and I really do hope to see that in the comments, because like I googled it and I tried, but I just couldn't figure it out. Not that I couldn't if I had tried harder, but like, you know, when you're trying to do an album review, how much time are you really going to spend looking for that shit? The more important is what the music is. So after about 5 minutes, because yeah, I put 5 minutes of failure into my life, I gave up. So I hope that y'all can educate me there. But I like the cover with just the whited out eyes and shit, which I think is a way to actually get around like any kind of copyright concerns, because you could then call it transformative in like a legal sense. Plus you're blurring out the faces of making them recognizable, so it's, while iconic in a sense, just the look of it all and the feel it's giving off like some drug shit's about to go down, it's still like ambiguous enough that there's enough mystery that I, for the life of me, cannot figure out who the fuck the other guy is. And so like I like that about this cover, because it alludes to like some shit. Like it's just enough that you need to know, but not enough for you to know everything. And I think that's communicated so well on a project called The Plugs I Met, which actually on Tana Talk 3, he's like, I'm going to make an album called The Plugs I Met. And then here we are, The Plugs I Met project. And what I liked about it is the features. When you look at those features on this project, which we rarely talk about at the beginning, but on the one hand, he's talking about, you know, the plugs he met in maybe the more traditional sense, but also it's like musically, these are the plugs I met, you know, that hooked me up, that are my people I wanted to be with, you know. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Jadakiss, Pusha T, these are some heavy names, you know? And then you got the boys, 38 Spesh, who I brought up. I don't know how connected he is to Benny the Butcher in general, because I'll be honest, I heard a few of the albums across these guys, but I've not really researched that much. I know Conway, and he's hooked up. They're like, I don't know if he's cousins or if it's West Side Guns who's cousins with Benny the Butcher. Anyway, I don't want to just keep talking about shit I don't know. I really like the fact that it really feels like lyrically these are dudes who belong on the project. Like when I looked at all their names, even Black Dot with the lyricism, when you think about the depth of the lyricism of all these artists, it just got me hyped the fuck up. And I don't often feel that hyped the fuck up on like to Burn a Beautiful. It's a really nice day outside. Sitting here talking about the album and whatnot, but that's what we do up in here. So why don't we break into it, get away from the jibber jabbers and get into new jibber jabbers throughout the intro skit. So like I already had a chance to just like think about this whole little intro thing. I'm not certain if this is the exact same clip, because I think it sounds different, or it could be just somebody like the same guy telling the story at a different thing. But this is basically like the middle part of the intro to Dead Prez's Let's Get Free, which we reviewed like within the last month, maybe, I don't know, yeah, about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. So like for me, this is just fresh on my mind, and it is an interesting tale to comment on crime, because what it's saying is like the wolf has its instinctual nature. When it tastes the bloodlust kicks in, and it has to keep licking because it thinks it's fucking hunting. It thinks it's going to be doing what it's going to be doing. So the natives and whatnot would put up this sword in the ice or a knife or whatever, and the wolf would cut its tongue and then get confused and keep licking till it bled to fucking death, and then they would deal with the wolf in that way. And it's like, yo, all things considered, the way the world is structured, society's going to blame the wolf because the wolf's a fucking idiot for, licking a blade, and haha, stupid wolf. And in a way, you could look at it in certain parts of town that we often, as a middle class, so we middle class types tend to fucking just be like, yo, those people deserve to be in the poverty that they are. But I don't come from middle class, so I'm like, yo, that's some whack shit, man. There are a lot of weird systematic shits in play that y'all know about. You don't need me to explain it to you, but they really do create environments where you almost can understand how somebody could turn to a more nefarious series of choices, because ultimately, if you're hungry and you gotta eat, like, I don't blame a man for stealing in that moment. I don't blame somebody for that shit. Like, it's like straight up, all the metrics point to a fact where like certain communities are not being given the same advantage that, like, honestly, just because I was born in Montreal, our like welfare pays enough to at least eat and have a bullshit place to sleep, but have a bullshit place to sleep. Like, that's the bare minimum. And most people can figure out a nice little thing on the side that nobody knows about. So like, there's just ways to navigate it in my city. And when I thought about that, just being in Canada, right? Like, we got the really shitty but free healthcare, and that changes your whole life. Like, my dad always used to bring up some shit like, what if we were in the States and like, if you broke your arm, that's it, we're fucking done. And that's a truth that I've never had to live with, just because I was born here. And it's just crazy, this like lottery in life of how where you're born impacts so very much. So I think that the whole point of this situation is like, do you blame the wolf for trying to eat? Because in a sense, certain people from where they're from are forced into a more wolf-like behavior. Or do you blame the person that put the knife in the ice, who trapped certain people into a certain way? So I think it's a beautiful idea and a great story to honestly communicate a powerful idea here. And I really like the way it starts off like that. And because it like correlates to such a strong album instantly, it makes you like feel a certain vibe. I don't know. I was really excited for it. It was really cool to listen to, albeit I gave it a 4.25. It's a little song clip thing, but it does a good job of preparing you for hearing what Benny's going to walk you through on the next track, the next series of tracks. So on that note, Crowns for Kings, sorry. It's going to sound like super corny in the middle of this review, but the Harry Potter version of Pokemon Go dropped, and I wondered, like, if you wanted to move and you doing your thing in the regards of the lifestyle that maybe Benny will describe across this project, and you have like a burner phone running through a VPN, etc., can you like rock out to like some shit like Pokemon Go or whatever and get like hella points just in light of the lifestyle? I'm curious to know if there's some hard-ass motherfuckers who is also catching shiny Pokemon. I stopped. I played for a while, so I'm just a curious dude like that. Anyway, this track is ridiculous. So sorry for my little segue. I had to open a tab about the game, and it caught my attention. But this starts off with like this beat, and it's produced by DJ Shay. And allow me to just say it, and I like to bring this up as much as I can for the old heads, as I try to educate folk on here. This shit came out in 2019, but has the sound and feel of that golden era. And why I say this, and people sometimes are like, you can't tell people blah blah blah, you can't control their opinions. And I'm like, you're right, I cannot control a motherfucker's opinion on the internet. But what I can say is that to say that fresh motherfuckers aren't dropping dope classic worthy music is just ignorance, because Benny the Butcher is here to slap you in the face and show you that he got bars and a sound that just brings you in. Like, you put him next to anybody from the golden era of hip-hop that's lyrical, and I feel like Benny stands up. And that's my opinion. I really like the over, like, you put him next to a Black Dot, we'll say, and like, honestly, they stand up bar for bar, in my opinion. Everybody's great on this marathon shit. So let's see you first to the finish. If it's less than 100 racks, it don't deserve your attention, because burdens come with it. My second test was serving a sentence. My first was made a brick jump like it was hurdling fences. I'm like, if I understand the purpose of this project, it's to paint a picture of, you know, the past of his life when he would, let's say, move a certain product and sell some coke. And what's interesting about the States that isn't in Canada is the statutes of limitations thing. So after X number of years, you're allowed to just talk about your crimes, and that's legit. And so that's why a lot of rappers in their 30s can start talking about shit they did in their early 20s. The other part is, I believe he's already served time for certain shit. So if I'm not mistaken, if you've already served the time and you're out, you're allowed to talk about the crime again. I don't know the rules about this shit. But in general, he's in a position in his life where he can mention that he has done some shit and flipped his life into something else, and this is now his legal product that he pushes. And I don't know, everything Benny says sounds like it has a purpose, down to the way he just pronounces his P's and feels like it's got this punch on it. The flow and the construction of all of the lines just has that perfect rhythm, rhyme structure where, like, you know, he put the time into making sure that the flow was taken care of in a way where, like, all of the great lyricist dudes, like, you can hear it in the pauses between the words. And that's what I think is where you can really notice the difference between the top tier flow dudes and, like, the lesser tier flow dudes, is how they use the little pauses and shit to just make emphasis work with having your rhymes sync up in the way that they're supposed to. And I feel like the way he delivers just the whole verse, you see it all over, and it's fucking great. On top of that, the actual bars that get dropped in the verse are they're just smart. They're just fun to like listen to, you know? Like right in that first part, as we described earlier, it's like, don't fuck with him unless the money's high enough to, like, you know, be worth the risk, you know, because otherwise it's not worth what's going to end up happening, you know, in terms of, that's how I'm interpreting it. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, you know, he's got some serious shit that went in. So his second burden in life was serving time. You know, that's some serious shit. But the first burden was figuring out how to, like, you know, move the brick in an efficient enough way, which consequentially led to that second burden. And just the way he puts it so bluntly, so like, this is just what happened, right? Yo, fact check that shit. It's right there. You know, I'm not saying it's actually right there, but that's how it feels when you're listening to it. Plus, it's got this smooth beat that is riding over it, where it's just like, all right, man, you just want to put your headphones on, you know, head to a certain mind space and just flow into this picture he's painting, you know? Water in my jewels, put them on and baptize hoes. Walk in my shoes, we got shack size souls. And I love that line just because it's like, you know, whatever. The first line is, I'm rich, girls want that shit, fine. But walk in my shoes, it's like, you want to come and try to live the life or to keep up or anything, just to follow it up, like the soul of his passion and whatever is as big as Shaq's, but simultaneously, like, you picture the giant shoe thing, it just ties in perfectly into being like a well-written line. And it's lines like that are the difference between, I mean, so like all of his lines flow together in a way that's almost stream of consciousness, I find. And that's something I really like, because it's not like every line has to connect per se. He's painting this picture in an elusive kind of way, but the way he's saying everything, even if it doesn't necessarily connect directly, it still kind of does. It's just like these minute, it's almost like it's like one-liner comics versus like a more constructed story shit. But this is the kind of one-liner shit that just hits, because every time you really listen to it, different bars pop up, you know, like, see, I'm too ghetto, mellowed up, this Hollywood shit tricky. Oh, my bitch saying I'm famous, but it ain't hit me. Then he says the next line, and it's just like, wow, man, that's some honest shit. Like, yo, you can't be acting a certain way. The money's not coming in. You're getting kind of famous. Like, for real, people in Montreal and all over know who the fuck Benny the Butcher is at this point. I know this little dude in Scotland I've been talking to also knows who Benny is. Like, he's well known because he is, in a sense, connected to Shady, whether it's directly or not. Even if it's just in the mind of people. And you know, I like how he follows, you know, just like, what's the delay? I'm only 6 hours from Philly. That's an hour on the plane. I'll make it 3 in a Bentley. And it's just like really interesting how he just considers the options of how he can get there and what the actual time span. And, you know, it just sounds like a guy who has been there, done that. And when you really think about everything he's saying, he doesn't really give you any specifics per se, but he still manages to make it super engaging. Like, back when your parents got your baby shoes plated bronze, we took hip-hop and made it ours. It sold quarters, just so happens I'm the author of your favorite songs. They bullshitted me, I played along. More bars than them who got hit with the Reagan laws. Let's go. And then to bring in a dude who was there, the next verse is pretty cool. But, like, you have him here, and he's just pointing out, like, a little bit of the history of how hip-hop was taken and brought into a situation, and now he's in this next wave, and he's like, yo, this is just what's happening here, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna come in and outperform the guys who came before me. Now, I think what's cool about that is he gives respect to the guys who came before him, like the ones that got hit with the Reagan loss. Like, that is a historical fact, that the birth of hip-hop, or the actual conceptions and all the early 90s shit, that is a direct impact of what happened in the 80s and whatnot. So I love just the facts that end up just appearing in the way he presents this shit. And you know what? This is one of my favorite songs now, at least until, you know, the next one comes around that is really dope. But this is an incredible jam. So yes, Benny the Butcher, you authored some shit I would call my favorite song. Not like my absolute, but it's up there, because I have a lot of list of like thousands of songs I think are amazing. I really love music. Black Dot comes in, which is cool, right? Because the universe likes to connect shit, I think. And recently I just discovered Black Dot for the first time. And then Bonnie just talked about Black Dot over J Dilla and shit. I hear his Black Dot again on this album, and I don't know, man. Sometimes it just works in threes like that. But right off the jump, when we was hooked in the hood getting booked like literature, that's such a cool and interesting line, right? So like, they're doing their shit in the hood and they're getting booked up in a bad situation like literature, but then once you're booked, you get access to literature, right? Because a lot of dudes read in prison. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, this album is gonna be good. This is the lyrical shit. Like, I just did the idea and abilities. That's one side of the lyrical shit. This is a whole other side of the lyrical shit that's equally as fulfilling to my grammatical cravings. Kept us shook like when the boogeyman coming to get you. We was crooks trying to caught more rides than great adventures. Any image we took, not a father was in the picture. I'm like, it really paints another picture of the serious situation. The police is coming to get you. Dad's not around, you know? There was a time, not a bite nor swallow was in the kitchen. Real made an industry out of the intuition. So on the one hand, you look at that line where there's not really food in the kitchen because people's doing some other shit in the kitchen, which turned into an industry out of, you know, being able to rely on your intuition for success in the game and shit. And again, he just keeps painting this beautiful picture, you know. Wishing we could get from Snyder Ave to Melrose without their dapper dad body bags and jail clothes. Man, that's something I was thinking about on this album. It's like they're describing just driving around in cars and shit. Like, that must be fucking terrifying to have to wonder while you're going. Like, I've looked at the gang maps in LA and shit, and when you really realize that, like, crossing the streets and all this other stuff is like dangerous, because that's not the reality for me at all. It's like a bit of a mind fuck, right? So just to kind of paint that paranoia in a way where it's almost like you take something like Dapper Dan, which I recall being some shit in Oh Brother Where Art Thou that was like hairstyling product to make people look good, so to look good in a body bag or jail clothes, which is kind of the options of what happens when you're involved in the game so often. They warned not to lollygag when hell rose. We railroaded through thicker things for gold chains and chicken change. No one throwing flames, there's growing pains when in the game. And when to blow ashes in the snow with snow remains, push the wheel as fast as it can go, but we overcame the obstacles. And I'm like, wow, man. So it's almost like everybody went for it, and we the ones that actually succeeded in this bloody conquest to acquire the different things we wanted and to escape being broke, in a sense. You know, there's growing pains. We all made mistakes. We all had to learn. We all had to figure it out. And that's another cue I think that you can look for in this type of music to kind of call the bullshit on people. Who the fuck didn't fail at some point? Like, no offense, but in this type of shit, you learn. And the only way to properly learn is to have some bad situations play out, whether it's in business, like in all kinds of business, whether it's corporate America or this type of shit. Like, the fact that these guys can admit that they learned lessons through errors is important, because that's a key principle to growth and survival. Like, if you want to make stacks on stacks on stacks and shit, like, you kind of have to fuck up a little bit, because, then what happens when you have a great run and you get your first little fuck up moment and now there's $1 million on the line? You don't want your first fuck up when there's $1 million on the line. You want your first few fuck ups when, like, there's $50 on the line and shit. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with mistakes if you can learn from that shit. Kudos to the MVPs that never fuck up, but I am certainly not one of those people. I love the wisdom from my errors. I like shit like at old heads teach the young hitters to shoot back. I've been living proof that depression make pressure stones and real clairvoyant savants remain less unknown. And I like that part because you have him with a younger dude. I mean Benny's about my age, and Black Dot's significantly older, in a more like he could be teaching us some shit kind of way. And to have him on a track like this almost proves the point of what he's saying. I've been living proof, because like literally that's what he's doing on this very song. On top of that, his lifestyle creating him into such a wise dude, because like I just did his couple recent EPs, Streams of Thought, and holy shit, is he a wise motherfucker at this point in his life. I don't know about his younger shit. I know I gotta get on those Roots reviews. I promised, etc. It's coming. It takes a while, you know. There's one album on the classic variety a week. That takes a while, and then we do the new shit, and the new shit's cool. But anyway, he flows out really great for the rest of it. One of my favorites is the money generated from me leaving microphones broke, probably almost on par with all of Escobar's coke. When I'm finished, I'm gonna keep a tennis shoe at your throat just in case you mention in the interview you want smoke. 215, shouting out his area code. And I like that because it's like the ambition to, by the end of your career, actually stack more wealth and more power than, say, a Pablo Escobar's empire. And with Jay-Z being the first billionaire in rap these days, you know, the floodgate could open, man. These people still got like 10, 15 good years of business left. Why can't they end up stacking their, wealth in such a situation where they don't actually make some real shit, man? You go watch those billionaire lists, and dudes, like, once you get to a point, like, the chart just shoots the fuck up. I don't know if you can see my hand going up. Either way, this track is ridiculous. Like, I kept listening to it. I heard it like already 7 times. It's amazing. It's a 5 on 5. I already want to listen to it again, but well, there's another 5 to talk about on this project. Sorry, it's gonna be a verbose long one. Let's talk about Sunday School.
Brick, whole brick. Fiends still hit me when they dope sick. Or that cook with gas.
I like when he goes, and this I mean Benny, I had to dumb it down for I had to do that. You know, like, just the idea that you have to sometimes simplify your ideas and shit, because maybe you're thinking in a way where like others can't keep up. And that is the reality of being brilliant. And I do believe that Benny the Butcher is an extremely smart dude with the way he writes his shit. What I like about Benny on this is that, and he'll do this on every single song, so I might not bring it up again, but he'll manage to switch up the flow. This isn't necessarily just Benny flexing his ability to create bars, but it's flexing his ability to create bars over different flows and different kinds of beats in a way where all 6 of the tracks on this album manage to construct a completely different flow from Benny. And that is that is not the simplest thing to do if you really listen to a lot of music. So let's give Benny the Butcher his credit for being a versatile dude on this album. On top of that, the beat here from Derringer is a little bit grimier, a little bit flowier. It is a bit of a long song for 6 minutes, so I can imagine how maybe on your first listening to it might be a little much, but I promise you, it's got bars up in this shit. And if you're listening for it, each of the dudes, 38 Spesh, Jadakiss, oh my gosh, I got excited when I saw this track list. I know I don't look like the kind of guy who should be listening to this kind of music, but it's fucking fresh. If you read the right shit, it all correlates, you know? And, look, everybody on this song is just somebody that I've come to really admire and respect for how they think and how they present themselves and how they really seem to understand the world of success and how to also present the information and knowledge of what they know in a way that doesn't really say anything. Like, here's an example. I stick my 40 out the window while I'm steering the coupe. We pull up to your door if I'm hearing the shoot. They say we sold dope into random acts of violence. Our neighbors in the burbs want to hand us back to the projects. So he kind of paints it in a way where, like, he's so tough, this is what he's going to do. But he doesn't actually say, like, I'm actually going to do it. He just kind of paints it in that this is the kind of life I lived or whatever, you know, this is what's up. And then they kind of flips it into this is what the response was. They said this was going to happen, you know, we were selling drugs or whatever. And then he flips it again, and it's like his actual neighbors in his new neighborhood are just like, fuck these guys, we don't want them here, send them back to the projects. So not only is he painting out a little bit of hardness, but he's also dropping in some social politics, showing that even when you do escape the hood, the way you live your lifestyle, it's almost going to be like people are going to paint you in a way where, like, you're condemned to have to go back to the situation. Can't believe y'all talk about guns, the guns y'all shot. Can't believe that shit. On the money, run into them and it's crumbs y'all got. Let me know. Come check with me when y'all want y'all shot. It's 10 shooters in my hood for every one y'all got. And I like that because, honestly, a lot of people frown about how rich they are. That's a stupid thing to do because people like Benny probably got some real money and they can tell the difference. Like, I can't tell the difference between who's actually got money or not. But if you look at the Griselda deal with Shady Records, I'm willing to bet that Benny's going to do a little bit better off of this than, say, somebody signed to Universal, even if those numbers look a certain way up front. Because when you understand how the record labels and actually do their 360 deals and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's an interesting point, though, that these guys are in a position to actually bring out their guns. Like, if you think about it, right? If you're a felon, you can't have a gun on camera, like a real gun, because that would be like a violation of your parole probably. And so if you're actually going on stage with a fake gun, that's some kind of whack shit. That's like the Slim Jesus kid. Even if you hard or whatever, it's still kind of weird to like pull out a fake gun because you can't have a real gun on camera. Like, wouldn't it then be harder to be like, bruh, I can't even pull out a gun because, yo, the PO's gonna clip me or something? Like, that to me sounds like it's gonna be hard because, like, you got a PO watching you and shit. So dudes is like flexing like guns. It's almost like, why are you doing that? If you are a criminal, did you not see what happened to Bobby Shmurda? And if you are not a criminal, why are you doing that? That's weird. Why would you fabricate some shit that isn't your life? And I don't say criminal here in a negative sense. I really hope anyone watching this isn't offended. I say it in the sense of breaking the law and needing to hide from the 5-0s and whatnot. So, like, I don't know. That's the kind of shit I think about. I feel like Benny's a smart motherfucker. You know, listening to him also, then I take that back to work, you know? Like, when there's gossips and shit going around, and I'm like, how would Benny the Butcher handle a situation like this? And I try to, like, think about from what I listen to. I know it sounds weird, but a lot of parallels between corporate America and this shit. Like, I fuck with smart bitches in the club. I caught bitches staring. You know, that's what you do at work. You find the smart ones and you affiliate with them because it attracts the right kind of attention. It's like bringing down the prices. You got to move that. I like the way he fucking flows this shit. You know, it's like the reality. Like, sometimes shit adapts. You have to be adaptable. You have to be accountable. You have to be driven to succeed. And then we're on the first verse still, right? Then he comes in and whatever. Put in work, you might sell it or you're going to get caught with it. Three things happen when you keep your torch. Put it in work, you might sell it or you're going to get caught with it. And that's the reality of the situation. It's just powerful. Then you got like that really long hook, but I like the fact that it's not just like I'll be moving perks, I'll be moving like that kind of hook's kind of boring. I mean, it's fun to fucking vibe to in the right context, but this is a cooler hook, like quarter brick, half a brick, whole brick. Fiends still hit me when they dope sick. Cook with gas, but you know, like it's kind of got like a flow to it, and then it just keeps changing and almost like evolves. Like real, no. Only my real, no, you know, like, and I think what he's trying to do is what a lot of the real ones do. And when I say real ones in the context, it's like the dudes is legitimate about who they are when they present themselves on wax. And I guess there's like the coded context that people who live that life know what's up, but I'm gonna just say that real recognize real no matter the life that you live. So you can tell when motherfuckers presenting as reality. You can tell when people are fake as fuck. Say what you will about my setup. I'm being completely legit with y'all. So you might find me corny. I am corny. That's cool. But I'm corny enough to know this is fly. And what I mean is I'm not that cool. I'll never be cool. Well, not that I'll never be cool, but like, I'm not cool like Benny's fucking fly with it. I'm more neurotic, interesting. So like, you gotta know your shit. You gotta be real with it. 38 Spesh is ridiculous. Right off the jump, my bricks are better than yours. Y'all better come pay dues. An extra gram jumping back for every one they lose. And I love that. It's like quality is going to be the difference between everything, because at the end of the day, because my products have a better quality, you're going to lose your clients, and it all just comes to me. Right off the jump, good business prowess, man. In a consumer customer service experience kind of driven economy, especially in something like a software game, you really need to think like this, right? Because it's competitive as fuck. So when you're considering how you treat your clients, right? If you do some, let's say, less good tactics, that's like selling down Coke that's powdered with fucking whatever it is y'all cut it with to make it less pure, and like doing it real bad so that the fiends aren't necessarily enjoying the end result or whatever, versus having some pure ass shit that you're, you know, dealing with, you know. And when you have a proper experience, like something like a Dropbox that's such a clean onboarding and really gets you on addiction levels, like seriously, the software companies give away free shit, like a drug dealer will give away some free shit and like get people hooked. It's fucking crazy, the parallels, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, so I love the fact that I can gain like business insight from listening to 38 Spesh in my domain and field in the world. Then he drops a fun line. I'll be honest, I was just watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air clip where he gets hustled and then Uncle Phil shows up and does his shit. And then he's like, I got my own stick, like I'm about to come play pool. And I thought of that scene with Uncle Phil. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking badass. That's a great fucking line. Ride in the car with bricks, that's one brave move. I never did it. That's when my bitch one paid mule. And I'm like, that's smart. He's like, distance yourself from the shit that's bad. And again, all the books pointing it out. And when it came, 38 Spesh, man, I said that about him, man. I was like almost like directly reading some of the books that I was coming across just in the instructions he gives. It's like, you listen to the dude, you're going to be a little bit better at business. Now, Benny, he's a little flyer, but he's still giving you the same principles. I feel like 38 Spesh is a little more direct. Still, both these guys, it's fun to listen to for me. And I'm not gonna lie, I like a lot of gangster movies, not like Scarface type gangster movies, but more like Cocaine Cowboys and those kinds of documentaries that look in, I know I said that word wrong, but the ones that look into like this kind of realistic shit on how it all works, because it's such a fascinating industry in terms of being like a whole real businessy things. Anyway, bought a bullshit watch. Now you want to you can't come around here unless you get a referral. And I like that part because it's a really smart way to live. Like, who you like my shit's in my apartment, right? Like, if I just bring the wrong people in here, I'm gonna come home one day and my shit won't be here. So I gotta be smart about that kind of stuff. Again, thank you, 38 Spesh. You made a couple bucks, then you shot for your girl. May I just point out, it is such an interesting point that he uses his girl as the mule in a sense and pays her proper, but like lets her take the risk because of all the trust and shit. Like, it's almost like every aspect of his life has a planned purpose in a way of building towards his success. It's just fucking interesting. Anyway, you make a couple bucks and you shot for your girl, bought a bullshit watch, you on top of the world, got a squad full of geniuses. And I like how he's just like pinpointing the exact tomfoolery that certain people get when they get to wealth acquisition. Like, you have no idea how happy I am I never got rich when I was like 22. I would have been dumb. I would have like been the guy who's buying the shit off of him in terms of the consumer kind of sense, and I would have spent and blowing all of my shit and like fucked up my whole life. So instead, I didn't live that shit. I got humbled, and now I feel like I can live more like what these guys do by literally, I want to push my product like a drug dealer, because y'all who sell drugs and are effective at it have this mind that's just, if it's kind of like the content game, you know, it's vicious. Everyone out there is competing, and how do you differentiate? How do you win? I don't know. I would rather listen to what these dudes have to say than other ones. And Jadakiss has one of the coolest voices in hip hop. Every time I hear him, I know it's just gonna be some fresh shit, you know. I don't know. I like the way he just paints his verse. I feel like there's some like loose story, and he's just being like, "Yup, dope's up in Maryland, coke's in the SC, which I think is South Carolina. We get it off the dock. The plug came on a jet ski. I hit my man up. See what's the ticket for 10. We right back Sunday so we can flip it again." It just paints it like this life's a cycle, but we go through it. We are efficient, we're quick, we're focused, we keep it coming, you know, and then points out, even if you're fucking dumb, keep the money and the drugs completely separated, which is also something that 38 Spesh alluded to in the way that he said, you know, like, I keep the money, she keep the drug. And it's a smart, like, approach to life in a sense. It's what you would need to know if you wanted to go into this occupation and not be a fucking moron. I also love how he goes, same sweatsuit on, underclothes from Walmart. Nah, I ain't acting crazy. Did he just shout out that he buys shit from Walmart? Why do people blow money on underwear? Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a nice pair of undies, but like, if you're gonna have like a suit on or whatever, that's gonna work to impress the ladies, and then your underwear shouldn't be showing. I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing this wrong, but like, people spend a lot of money on clothes. Like, there's a good amount of a lot of money. Like, I'm saying a $200 pair of jeans is probably a good pair of jeans. A $3,000 pair of jeans is where I'm going, yo, that's some crazy shit. In my brain, as a person who doesn't have that kind of money. Yes, I know I'm not rich or anything. But yo, if I was, I'm telling you, I'd still go to like fucking cheap ass stores and buy some shit, because that's how Warren Buffett makes billions. That's not how whoever rapper makes millions, you know? Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, etc. It's been a long day. I digress. I really enjoyed this song. I felt myself really listening to it again and again. Just for time's sake, I couldn't listen to it 7 times, so I don't think it only got 5 or 6 times or whatever. But still, after all those listens, I'm still giving this track a 5 on 5 for the absolute quality of everything in it. Just being great. Everybody delivers. It is a really cool song. Next up is Dirty Harry.
Chainsaw, shower posse, niggas love when the rain pour. Sorcerer, the torch.
Basically, this track is pretty fresh too. I'm not gonna lie. At this point on the album, I knew that I was dealing with one of the higher quality projects that would probably come out this year. And let's be real, it is legit. I've never heard of RG Payne before, but this beat is different. It isn't like the other two, but still kind of gives off the same old school, but also high quality feel that one would come to expect from somebody who's going to be moving like this and creating this kind of laid back vibe. RG Payne sounds great. The more I listened to him, the more I found myself appreciating what his flow was like. My pen moving like I'm improv, and I deliver Def Jams. Call me Rick Rubin. That's clever. It's not like next level clever, but it's clever. Big 9mm or the SIG shooting, brains hanging out your wig. You a Fig Newton. And then he got me. I'm like, did he just make that fucking Newton bar? Cause anyway, gravity and shit. I digress. Pie cooker. Where did Jimmy fly snooker? And I'm going to a wrestling show, and I sent this to my buddy, and he was listening to this track and pointed out the fun wrestling track references on here. So I saw that, and I'm like, okay, the universe is just connected sometimes, I feel like. And it just flows on through. Like, Slaughter Guys, this hit was a hit. And this hit was ordered by the Butcher. And I like that line because it's like he's going to be fucking coming in lyrically destroying people, but also giving homage to the fact that Benny put him on. And the Butcher is in that position to be taking that situation and creating a musical hit, which I do believe they accomplished here. This is a fucking great song. I like this verse. I have a lot more to say there. I just really enjoyed listening to it. His voice sounds different than Conway and Benny in a more significant way. Benny and Conway sound great together, don't get me wrong. So I was pretty excited to see him. I'm like waiting on that West Side Gun Conway album, which I understand also got Benny on it, which is going to be a very exciting experience too. So when that drops, we're going to be talking about it. But I like the way you just had the Butcher coming. Like, it's just such a powerful tag. I don't think I said it right, but the Butcher coming is just like a cool thing. You just keep hearing it on the album, and it just makes you stoked to hear Benny come in and kill it. I got the green light from OGs that fathered the era. He already had Jadakiss and Black Dot. He's got a really fucking good point. Shady's also down. But what I dig with a pot gon' make it hard to compare is I washed a pot of blood out the money that my daughters inherit and kept the barrel so hot that it fog out the mirrors. And I really enjoy it. He is willing to go in hard and accomplish more than other people, but then you just picture like the fact that this money might be marked up in a certain way, so he cleans it so that his daughter can receive money and be taken care of. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, and I might, just in case I forget, Benny is so about the team, and that's another key thing about a dude who's successful. Anybody saying they did it on their own, especially at a major like level of music, is just completely full of shit. Like, there's no conceivable way that you achieve shit on your own. You can say I'm fucking dope. You can say I'm the boss. You can say I'm the leader. You can say I got more goons. All of this shit is valid. But the second you're like, I did it by myself, I'm like, who shot your video? Did you do that? Did you edit the video? Did you sound engineer? Like, you run through the list of all the possible tasks. Did you promote your shows? And you can say yeah to a whole bunch of that shit. But then if you're making the kind of money that some of these dudes who's claiming that kind of shit is making, it's logistically impossible. Like, we're not talking about like, oh, whatever. I'm saying if you understand how any of this shit works behind the scenes, it's logistically impossible to make real money on your own. You can make like 35K on your own if you're fucking smart. Maybe you can even make like 60K a year on your own. I mean, all on your own. Maybe, if you're really smart. But like, the second you do anything with anyone else, even if you pay them, you are not on your own no more. Throwing it out there, because it really bothers me. And Benny doesn't do that shit, so he's fucking dope. This one, I don't know. I like when he goes me against the world like Pat Riley and the Dream Team Level 3 Vest Mac 90 with the green beam dead body on a dead body. I done seen things. I had to ride back with the stress. Supply packs to your steps, but I'm taxing to death. I used to want to get a contract with the Nets, but that changed when I got in contact with a Connect. Just the way he rhymes all these words together is well done on the flow. I really like it. But he kind of like, again, paints the picture of like, yo, this was a violent situation. I've seen some kind of death. I've seen some things. I used to want to follow the other, basketball. I think the Nets are basketball. I don't know. I wanted to maybe go the sports route. I wanted to be a more legitimate person. But then, I met the Connect. And I think an establishing point of Connects and the plugs, when you think about what the plug is, it's the person who, supplies people with anything, really. It doesn't have to just be drugs. It's just the person who connects things. So when you consider who's successful in life, it's the person who's able to accomplish things and get things done. In a sense, it's that person who has made the right connects. In fact, who has met the right plugs in order to get those opportunities others don't. So if you're able to meet the right dude and you guys have an exclusive partnership or you guys have a deal and your competition can't meet that dude, they don't know who he is, you're at an advantage. Or like, if you gain information that can be used at an advantage. Anyway, it's just such a smart fucking concept to meet all these plugs. And then the fact is, when you met the right people, it deviated them away from one lifestyle into maybe something different, but while still like, supply packs to your steps, but I'm taxing to death. Riding back with the drugs, considering like, I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. I'm just saying it's fucking fresh. And then Conway shows up and it's good too. Yeah, look, it's do or die. You decide. Last shot at me and missed. It was like committing suicide. So, if you don't take him out, it's basically like asking for your life to be over. Think it's a game? All we do is slide. Brody on the backseat shooting like Lil Uzi size. And and that's cool because Lil Uzi's like a small guy, but he'd make a very big fucking gun, and it's a Uzi, which is boom, boom, boom. Anyway, I really like the way he's flowing here. I stopped robbing, gave the mask and the gloves a rest. I flew to Cali just to find a new drug connect, and I still got a good rapport with all the plugs that I met. Yeah, I don't know why you pussy bother. Big FM bullets, flip a charger. Your favorite rappers is my sons. I'm your father's. I'm the reason I'm trying to spit it harder. And he comes in, and I don't want to sound disrespectful. I do like Benny a little bit more. Benny is my favorite on this, but Conway, the way he spits shit is super fresh. Lyrically, it's alright. It is not Benny the Butcher fresh, but it is also a really good verse. It is something that I could see myself vibing to. So I'm trying to pay respect by saying I don't like it as much as the other verse. So Benny took it on this song. I would give it Benny, RJ, and then Conway in third. But that don't mean I don't like Conway, because all of these guys is fucking killing it compared to like everybody. We just talking about this one song. Anyway, I really like it. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was the first one that wasn't like a 5, but it was still awesome and fresh to listen to. And like we're saying, compared to all music, it's fucking great. Anyway, the next one on the project is Took the Money to the Plug's House.
X doing lumberjack reps. I'm lucky, so an extra ace of spade won't come in there.
Man, I'm talking a lot for this little project, but Benny's giving me so much to talk about. Like, this is this grimy beat, this paint a picture type beat, like you're feeling it. At the very beginning, you hear a lady saying he was very street smart. He was observing. I took the money to the plug's house. And it's kind of funny. She's pointing out that, like, he's got a real vision for things in life, you know, and she's kind of hyping him up on a more personal, ethereal level. Meanwhile, honestly, he's coming in like any other rapper, but what he's saying is fascinating. I took the money to the plug's house. Other rappers is always just talking about money, but like when you win a game and you're actually trying to make money, you probably aren't holding money for very long, right? Like, yeah, you're stacking your savings, but for the most part, you're moving shit a lot. And so I think that's an interesting part of the situation in your relationship with a plug, that if you are making an album about that shit, is worth discussing just a little bit. And then he's like, I'm from Buffalo where it's colder in the summer. Nah, I'm in Montreal where it's not really that cold in the summer, but I get what he's trying to say. It's more the tempo and the tone of the situation of where he's from. And all we know is hustling, lower numbers than them Okra brothers. So it almost like it's harder than other places because maybe it doesn't have the same recognition because there's worse places that get like more love or something. I don't know. Or maybe people just don't respect it the same. Either way. Or maybe there's just like not as big a population. I don't know why I speculate like this, but I guess this is why people watch my show. They broke the code, and now we're exposing suckers. They know the flow disgusting. It is disgusting, but like in a good way. Because again, like I said earlier, this is a whole different flow than what we've come to see. And so when he goes a Griselda feature will blow your budget, I'm like, it's probably worth it. Like, think about it, man. Westside Gun, Conway, and like Benny are killing it. Like, all of them are fucking fresh. Benny might be my favorite so far. 38 Spesh is also dope. I might be a little bit herbalized if you catch my drift. So sorry for the repetition there. Anyway, I kept my family and my scale calibrated. I really like that. 2012, I'm in sales for a sale. I had no patience. All these cats acting gangster, autographing affidavits. That ain't me. They do my last year numbers at best. I ain't fumble that yet. It's funny because I'm getting running back checks. And I like the fact that he's, again, showing honesty in the fact, like, you know, he ended up in jail in a situation. Like, I got some shit. I had no patience, which is probably something that's what led to him in that situation. But he says had, which is an imperative word implying that he currently has patience, which is really cool because I think that kind of attention to detail really makes a difference when you're trying to paint a specific picture. All these cats acting gangster, autographing affidavits, and it's true. Depending on how you listen to these dudes selling a situation, you are basically signing out, you know, confessions should the moment ever come. That I mean, and you got to think about the Instagram live videos and the tweets and more than just the music, right? Like, the feds is watching all this shit. That's all I'm trying to say there. Anyway, that ain't him. And then other people can't achieve what he's pulling off, and he just paints it on such a really interesting and good way. The way he flows it is really solemn. And then that chorus kicks in. I took the money to the plug house. I ran and scraped up the money, then double taped up the money, walked in, speeding to a lick, couldn't wait for the money. Why would I wait for the money? Blowing gas in the vault. And then it's basically like the process of how the money moves hands in a situation, but just like this ode of like, I gotta keep hustling, I gotta keep grinding, I'm gonna put in the work. And when you get that money, you can't fuck with that money. And I kind of appreciate where he's coming from, because it's like how you live and how you handle the situation, your attitude. Like, I could make X number of reviews this week, or I could make more, or I could make less. And in my case, these podcasts, like being here doing this is my effort to like push some shit forward. Maybe it's not as addictive of a product as the cocaine is, what it flips into, but still, I kind of appreciate the mentality. It motivates me, and I really like the motivational feel I get out of this track. From my whole brick buyers and my quarter hustlers and all the road trip drivers and the corner huggers, I suppose that's all the different scales. He made his first 10 bands. Let's applaud the brother. If you do that 10 times, now you're onto something. And that's an interesting point. Like, if you have your first big win, so you make your first 10K or whatever, that's impressive. That's a really good accolade. But let's talk for real. Once you've done that 10 times, once you've proven that you understand the system and negate the possibility of it just being fucking luck, you know? It's easy to get that one video, in my case, that gets a lot of views, but when you look at the regular views, am I really doing that? Probably not. I'm not being self-deprecating. I'm saying the numbers is the numbers, and you should know the fuck what your numbers are. So yeah, shit is cool, but like, I'll appreciate just how he almost wants to push you to do more and to be smarter, and like to set your standard higher for yourself so that you can actually achieve some shit. It's pretty cool. Only an eighth of raw. The shit I don't say no more. I damn near don't pray no more. Only to an eighth of raw. A fork in the mayo jar. Numbers, you inflated yours. You got created a buzz. My flow got the fans rethinking who the greatest was. I mean, honestly, this guy is coming in here and spitting shit that could be like bar for bar on the quality of some of the more top tiered MCs out there. And I know that might sound grandiose, but his flow is very specific, very well like the enunciation is on point. Every line is clever and crafted from like a place of intelligence. I don't see how he doesn't qualify as one of the freshest. If he can keep this up for 7-8 years, this guy's absolutely going down as one of the more revered rappers out there. And I don't know, I really appreciate what he does here. I had an amazing run. That's where I got my flavor from. Had me putting paper together just like a staple gun. It won't make you an equal unless you put your people on. Got one first, now my whole team got bezels you can see through. I remember who made the bezel line that I fucking loved, but let's be real. Anybody that wants to talk about bezel-less experience, thin bezels representing wealth, using technology in that way to make it, who was flying gas back from Cali before it was legal, pointing out that, yeah, y'all can do whatever now that the situation is what it is, but we go way back, we legit with that shit. I like this song a lot. I give it a 4.75. So far, this project is really, really awesome. I mean, anyway, the next track on the album is 18-Wheeler.
Make my ex-bitch bitter. I put up to the checks, pushing the Lex like I'm Jigger.
I kind of really like when Pusha T goes with an 80-20 split like Master P, because he's the only drug dealer at Fashion Week, which is a cool and an interesting flex. I mean, I respect that shit. Like, the fact that Pusha T has the high-class corporate, like, proper life that he has now, considering where he came from, is pretty awesome in the way that he, like, puts it together. So then to like put it like, yo, if you want me there, this is how the money's being split. Why would I ever 50-50? You ain't half of me. That might be one of the most confident fucking cool bars I may have heard. Benny the Butcher coming after me, push. And then he's like kind of stating there that, you know, co-signing Benny. And I guess earlier when Benny's like, people validate me and I got the blessing, I mean, that's a fair fucking statement when Pusha T is kind of saying Benny's the next version, you know, he's coming through, he understands. We don't do no price talk because I already know they numbers. Plus, me and your old connect was tighter than them Dolce runners. First time I ever cooked a deuce. Hold up. Do you realize how good business advice Benny just gave you again? we don't have to talk to price because he knows the numbers. What he's saying there is he has the business intelligence in place. Again, this is some software shit. You need business intelligence and data. Like, in a sense, when you deal with like consumers and you're in a customer support department and you're trying to optimize the flow and the way the agents deal with shit and the kind of content and the knowledge base and all of that shit so people don't get frustrated, like, you have to make some fucking guesses and shit. And so having good data and good business intelligence to understand shit like what people want before they want it, or to be able to impress folk by already knowing the numbers, because motherfuckers who have to ask are just gonna look less good by comparison, plus having the kind of networking connections, because again, like the plugs, it's part of a networking situation. If you think about business, there's a lot of networking that's going on. It's not that different than being acquainted with a series of good plugs. I don't know, it fucking got me right there. It was really, really cool. Anyway, if me and Push would have linked back when I was a dealer, that's an 18-wheeler to my hometown from Virginia, enough glitter on my neck to make my ex-bitch bitter. I pulled up the jacks, pushing my legs like I'm Jigga. And what's crazy there is we're reviewing Jay-Z this very weekend. It'll be out Tuesday, and we'll be doing the Volume 1 album. I can't remember the full title. But so I don't know, I just like the flow of it. I like the fact that he lays down like showing the people who inspired him, right? And again, that's something that's missing from a lot of people, in the arrogance that comes into the game, because humility makes you a corporate executive. Arrogance makes you talented in middle management. I've been learning how to become humbler so I can become corporate executive and whatever. So again, hearing the type of shit he's spitting, it just kind of relates well to the kind of knowledge you would need to acquire. So when you're hearing these bars, just consider the bigger message of how it can correlate into your own life, and you'll see what I'm saying. Like, he's really smart. Anyway, I love the way it flows. Then Pusha T's also great. I'm nothing like you new gangsters pointing guns at the cameras. I bet you practice in the mirror, brick of money to your earlobes. And I laughed. I literally laughed out loud when I heard that, because again, we already talked about the guns, so you know how I feel about that, but just the idea of that they have to practice, and they probably took like 8 or 9 picks. Bro, that one's kind of lame, let's retake that pick. You know, that's probably actually how it goes down when certain people are taking that fucking dumbass picture with a bunch of money in their ear. I mean, okay, sometimes in Montreal, people will put up pictures with like, I don't know, $800-900 Canadian, and like, you know, this motherfucker just cashed a check that he got from a something. Like, let me tell you something. If I pulled up my whole paycheck on payday before I paid my bills, I took a picture, it would look like I'm fucking loaded. If you saw it after I paid my bills, it's not the same thing. So there's something to like flossing that's just stupid if it's not legit or real. That is how I live now. I mean, maybe even if you look at past me, I'm a fucking moron, but this is current me. And I like the idea of growth. So, and I think that's something that Benny also represents, in the sense that he went from having maybe a certain lifestyle, and Pusha T too, and both these guys just spit a lot of knowledge and wisdom and kind of like let you know the things to look for. Like, anyway, I don't know what else to say about this track. I thought it was really great to listen to. I gave it another 4.5. And yeah, anyway, the last song on this album is called 5 to 50.
I'm careful because they give you 5 for a robbery, but they burying kingpins. The real trick.
I don't 100% know who India is, but I'm gonna assume it's like either a person playing the girl dating Benny, or it's his lady, based on the hook, where it's like, you know, she remembers describing who his father was. It's like, Benny, be careful with that guy, it's a little bit crazy. And then throughout the verses, Benny's gonna talk, we'll get to that, but I like the way he uses this little interludes, and then he describes how it's like 7:30 in the morning and the police is at the door, and you know, her heart dropped and the impact it had being crushed. And then in the last part, Benny's completely legal now, and life is different. Like, we pulled it off, and I'm glad I don't have to worry about the police coming. And even without the verses, because sometimes people don't listen to that shit, what you're hearing, and 5 to 50 is probably a criminal charge, but like, what you're hearing is the progression of a person who has a reputation and is living a certain way. And then, you know, there's a consequence to the action. But what you're hearing is the evolution of a man who got to a place where that is no longer the problem and he has moved past it. And I think for myself, that's what's most inspiring about a lot of these guys, is because I don't come from like the best place. 10 years ago, I'm a fucking loser. If you think I'm a loser now, 10 years ago, shit, I put myself to shame. But like, just growing and becoming something better, just to hear guys my age being able to be like, yeah, it's happening for me, you know, like, makes me want to keep pushing so that it can happen for me too. So I really appreciate just the grind and the hustle and the story and the power of the song, and it's really dope. Like, I've been selling dreams to sleepers. To tell the truth, that's the perfect business, because in the drought I was paying double for some work that wasn't even worth the ticket. So, you know, he's coming in with his truth, but, you know, in a literal sense, he's selling dreams to sleepers. A lot of the people who are buying his albums are going to be people who don't understand the actual message, think it's just kind of fly, and don't really apply any of the lessons. So they're sleepers. They don't pay attention. Tell the truth, that's the perfect business. And he's just honest about it. He's like, yeah, I know exactly what's going to play out. I code my shit so that only the real ones get it, and most people are going to buy it. And then points out, again, something that, like, is humble about himself, how he maybe paid double for some work that wasn't worth the ticket. Like, the situation didn't pan out the way it was worth it. He's not perfect. Anyway, it's just really strong, man. How I work a kitchen like it's a church's kitchen. What you know about taking bags across state on a half a tank of gas. The first around ain't a workaround. You just gotta hit it twice to make a quarter last. And he just paints this picture of like the struggle that he went through and how hard and not fun it was, you know? But like, my favorite part of this song is he goes, put that together, that'll make a half when the coke compress. It's matter of fact, I ain't telling people shit. Who are these? I think they're overrated. I think they're all outdated. I'm independent, but they think that I'm signed to Shady because my jewelry look like I made it. And that's a cool line, because a lot of people do think he signed to Shady. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what Shady did is sign Griselda as an imprint label. So it's like Shady will make money off of whatever Griselda does, but Griselda remains an independent unit, making him not signed to Shady. He signed to Griselda, and Griselda is signed to Shady, if I understand, or they're affiliated in almost a distribution kind of way. So it's kind of like how Tech Nine's indie, they're indie, but Shady's like the big mainstream plug he has to get his album and like distribution taken care of so people can hear his shit, because it's fucking weird when you look into the mafia like tactics the radio has and shit. Crazy numbers get thrown around there. Still shows the ignorance of people, how kind of whack people are, and how his shit's fresh. I'm with him. I like the line when he's like, we kicking ass like the baby, because I know about that story, so I thought that was pretty smart. I'm on the grind. I'll link the plugs that I met one more time if these labels don't pay me. And that's an interesting point, because like, I don't know if he says it on this track, but he's not necessarily going to get paid right away, right? So they put out the project, and then the label has to recoup the money that they put in, and then at the end of all that, in like a significant patch of time, depending on the sales, you get some checks later on. They might not even be big at first. The original, like, I've seen a lot of people post like $2 royalty checks and shit. So like, it could take a while for you to get paid, and he has this as the backup plan, you know? He ran off the deep end, kicked up my mama house carrying some things. I'm careful because they give you 5 for a robbery, but they bury in kingpins the real trenches, war with the feds, and I'm talking real business. For Duffel was a pleaded 20. They forced him to trial. He took back on appeal sentence. And it's like painting us some real shit that goes on. Like, there's a serious situation with the cops and the plea deals. And, you know, the overall story he's painting, again, just entrances you. Like, it sounds completely legitimate while also being greatly rhymed over the flows. I really appreciated it. You know, you can feel he's getting richer. It's not on this song. I thought it would be, but one of my favorite lines is how he moves wholesale, and like the only time you see scales with the fishes. I don't remember who said that, but I thought that was fucking great, because, you know, that way it's like fishies have scales, and that's the only time you see it, because they don't need to worry about bagging up some shit. They just moving their stuff. And then I don't know, it just feels like he's doing his shit legal. Then I turned my flip phone to a stash, 6 figures, legal money, that ain't bad. I like how he still owes his plug for another half. Every time you bring my name up, you get mad. Like, there's again that honesty. Like, I like a guy that's imperfect, okay? That is a human. That is what successful is. Go find me a fucking successful person without flaws. All the great people in history have flaws. And I like that Benny's open. He's a 3-time felon. Now he runs a business. Motivational. That's some real shit. I really like this song. I think it's a great way to close out the project. It's a 5 on 5. It's dope. Let's talk about wrapping up and doing the project as a whole. I gave this little EP album, I'm not sure, it's 24 minutes, it's in that gray zone, 4.712. It is amazing. It is not, I'm not sure if this is a classic or not. I think this is a classic for me, for like modern albums, but it's also a little classic, because let's be real, 13-song album, different kind of classic than 7-song, or 6 songs with an intro album. They're just different tiers of things. Like, this is on my favorite hip-hop EP list that I heard. I don't know if it's a favorite in a year, 5 years. To be a classic requires time to pass, but as far as albums I foresee myself liking, look, I've been saying that Tana Talk 3 and Benny the Butcher is somebody to pay attention to that legitimizes a lot of shit for a while, like literally since we reviewed that album. And now I got the plugs I met validating everything I thought I would be, because Benny's ridiculously talented. And this is an amazing album. It's near flawless. Like, the only things I would say that, or whatever, are some of the features maybe I don't feel quite as much, and maybe the beat twists aren't 100% my vibe all the time. But, like, listen, this is a project you can throw on from beginning to end multiple times and grind to. Like, I was prepping the podcast for the weekend as I was listening to this, and I'm like, holy shit, this is good working music, because what he's saying inspires you to think about why you're grinding and to grind more. So thank you, Benny the Butcher and friends. Y'all made this little dude in Montreal super happy. Anyway, that's all there is for this one. Thank y'all for watching. I totally appreciate you being here. Let me know anything you want to let me know in the comments. We can have a little conversation. I look forward to seeing what y'all have to say. And if you make that effort, I will answer you. You may even end up as my favorite comment in next week's video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for more reviews. You can hit that like button if you want to. You can also leave that comment, because YouTube likes all those things. And yeah, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Dempsey, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, Linda Williams, DJ Black Hurricane. They support what we do. They're fucking dope. And yeah, they get to tell us what albums to review. So last week it was Ismail's review, and in a couple weeks it's going to be DJ Black Hurricane's review, and he's always got some fun ones. So I look forward to seeing what that'll be. So you can check us out there, and as low as $1 a month, you can support us and help us become something better than just the apartment setup and move to nicer shit that isn't in my apartment. Still, I love doing this, and I look forward to learning more, hearing more great music, and seeing just the fucking amazing hip-hop that gets created in 2019. It just brings joy to my heart to see something so fresh being so cool. Anyway, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this, so thank you if you do. Have yourself a great week. I make music myself. I am nothing quite like Benny the Butcher, but I can spit some rhymes in a more, let's say, like the emo side of hip-hop kind of way. I'm very open with my feelings, but yo, I also took the 48 Laws of Power and flipped it into a verse on a song that I did on this channel. So it's if you look at it, it's the whole 48 laws plus the 50th law in order, and that was fun to write. So yeah, I just wanted to tell somebody. Maybe you folk watching this review give a shit. Anyway, if you care, I'll tell you what song it is in the comments. We'll talk about it there. Anyway, have a great day. I'm a little bit out of it. It's been a hella long week, and I look forward to getting back at it tomorrow with more reviews. So peace.